begin the racket, how to measure. So the quick start I'm going to make is in this box. There is a quick start guide for every buyer, and there is also a USB cable to charge the racket. So you have basically two buttons. I don't know if you already tried them. Do not try to do the same as me, because we will turn on the Bluetooth, and my racket could be paired, or your racket could be paired with other phones there. So the first button, the upper one, small one, you have to press it 2 seconds so that the racket turns on. When it turns on, you have the blue LED flashing slightly slowly. And it means that the racket is on, it's recording, you can go on court and play, it will record every move. If you want to split your session in, for example, you play a match, you have different sets, you want to split your session into these different sets so that when you check your data after you play, then you have these different sets identified on your data. Then you will have to press the bigger button, the lower one, shortly, and the LED will appear in red, like this, which means, okay, I know I have to split the data into different parts. If you push longer, the lower button, then you will have a purple LED showing that the Bluetooth of the racket is on, and the racket is ready to send data to the smartphone or to be paired to a smartphone. That's what you did there. So I push it longer, and there is a purple LED slowly flashing. And you also have a trap on the racket. You can open this trap, and you have access there to USB port to charge the racket with the USB cable. So you plug the cable either on the computer or on a plug, and then charge the racket. It takes about 3 hours to fully charge a racket that is completely empty, and you can play 6 to 7 hours with a fully charged racket. So I'll show you a bit more.
So do you have to pair it after you turn for each set?
The thing you did that there? No. When your racket has been paired, if you want to download your data to your smartphone, you just have to turn the Bluetooth on your smartphone, the Bluetooth on your racket, and then you have to hit a small icon with a racket in the app, and then the data will go directly in your smartphone.
Yeah, but to divide it into sets so you don't have to do anything on your phone. You just turn it off and turn it back on.
No. If you turn the racket off and then on, it will make 2 different sessions. If you want just to split your session in sets, you just have to push the lower button once, a short time. It will show in red, and then your session is split into different parts.
It downloads to your phone after.
And download to your phone after the session, yes. So here is the electronic module we have inside the racket that measures everything, or almost everything. There is also a sensor, I can't show you this, but there is a sensor inside the handle here that measures the vibration of the frame, and that we use to give the ball impact location. I'll come to that later. I will unmount a module for you. This one has no screw, it's easier to unmount. So here you have the bed cap with the 5 different sizes, with the trap. And here you have the main part of the racket with first the battery. So the battery has this special casing, special casing to hold it because it's quite heavy in the system. So you can check the battery and give it to the others. And you have also here the main card with the sensors, the chip, the memory, and the Bluetooth module. Not the card. It will be out in the shops in 1 month, but before that, we have to show everything.
Oh, okay.
So here on this card you have the different buttons that when you click on, and the different LEDs that appear. If I separate this card, this is the main board, and on this one you have here the big one is the Bluetooth module. So it's quite big because it's an old norm. It has been replaced by a newer one, the Bluetooth 4, but this one is Bluetooth 2. It's quite big. Under there is a chip, small one there. I will give you the card after. And there you have the two main sensors of the racket. You have a gyrometer that measures every rotation that the racket makes. And you have the accelerometer that measures every linear motion of the racket and where the gravity is, where the ground is. And using these two sensors, the racket knows at every time what is his motion. And if you put the information of I'm a right-handed player or left-handed player, then the racket will know that before hitting the ball, it was moving like this way. So the gyrometer and accelerometer tells the gravity is there. The racket moves this way before hitting the ball. So if I'm a left-handed player, it was the backhand, and the same for forehand. And for serve, it's about the same. It will check that the gravity is in that direction, so it's a serve motion that has been performed by the player. Then we also determine if the player did an overhead or first serve, second serve, but this is not done directly with the measure of the sensors. It's done by the context, meaning that if you make an overhead, you probably shot a ball like less than 4 seconds before. So a serve motion with a shot within 4 seconds before is an overhead, or has many chances to be an overhead. And for first serve, second serve, it's about the same. You have some quite regular timings between first serve and second serve. We studied that, and we bring that in the algorithm so that when the racket sees two serve motion within a certain time, we could say it's a first serve, then a second serve, or two first serve, etc. It's more accurate when you play a match than a training. In training, the timing might be very different depending on the players. In a match, it's more accurate. Then we have the sensor measure not only with the sensor measure, we can not only determine what type of shots have been made, but also how fast the racket moves in the air before impacting the ball. And this measure, you can use it to indicate what you've seen in the app, the power index based between 0 and 100%. So we took a scale, like 100% is a very strong serve by an ATP player, and every shot is recorded on this scale based on the racket head speed. And it's the same for the spin effect. We measure how upward the racket goes when impacting the ball, and then we can determine how much spin the player puts in his gesture. It's not the RPM directly, but it's linked with the RPM. So you can store 150 hours of play, tennis play.
Before you sink it?
Before the racket is full. You really have to sink it. But each time you sink your racket, the data are removed from the racket. And then they are placed on the cloud, and you can access them through your smartphone or through your computer.
So what happens if you go over 150? Does it stop or does it delete the old one?
Yeah, it deletes the older one, and there is a specific light that shows that it's in white, I guess. If I remember well.
So you don't have to see it anymore.
No, you can play it like 2 months before synchronizing. But the app tends to push you to synchronize with the pulse, sing, and so on. Then the last measure it gives, or two last measure, is the ball impact location. So for that we use the sensor here which measures the vibration of the frame, and detecting the vibration of the frame, we can say if the ball has been hit at the upper part or lower part of the string bed or in the center, and also we can determine with the other sensor as well if the ball was a mishit there or there.
So there's nothing in the head. It's all down.
Exactly, there is only things in the handle. Yeah. And we have basically 5 big areas. You've seen the ball impact location there. And then you have also a clock inside that measures your playing time, real playing time, by removing every timing that where you are not playing. So between rallies, it's removed, and you have the real playing time. You have also, we can count the rallies made by the player, how many shots he made in a rally, by considering that a rally should not be interrupted. 2 hits might be within 5 seconds, for example. This is value. Then it's a continuous rally. If it's more than 5 seconds, probably the rally is finished. You could be tricked by somebody at the net with ball, sending balls to a player, but anyway, it's just. And what can we measure as well? I think I'm done. But I will be happy to answer your questions.
So this handle could be put on any racket.
Not exactly. So on the pure drive, where we brought the system, one of the main challenges was to maintain the same swing weight, twist weight and balance of the racket, and same feeling. We achieved that thanks to a dead weight, which is within the handle of the regular pure drive. We removed this dead weight and we replaced it by the electronic. But if you take a very light racket, the dead weight is much smaller, so we will have some trouble to reach the same specs as the regular racket. If you talk about the aero pure drive, for example, then we might make something, exactly the same.
And that would be easy, possible, or easier.
Possible. Their weight is not the same, but we might achieve the same specs, yes.
Okay.
If you are considering...
The sensor's up in the handle.
The other sensor.
Sorry?
Where's
There's
the
another
other?
sensor.
It's up
Up there.
Yeah, up there.